Well, friends, finally, the baking is done. I have the last tray in the oven, still baking, and it's time for Mama Bear to sit down and enjoy some samosas. I made myself a cup of jasmine tea, and I am ready to enjoy one of these myself. And I wanted to come on here and just show you guys the texture real quick, how soft that dough is. Look at that, and you hear the crunch? Oh, that's the crunch. Let's pinch off a piece. I'm trying it. Oh, oh my goodness, friends. How I've missed these. It's been probably over a year since I've baked this last time. I don't know why. You know how sometimes you have a good recipe on hand and then for whatever reason you just stop making it, and then you remember you have that recipe in your collection and you're like, what? Why did it take me so long to make them again? I just want to show you guys the flakiness. Please look. This is the, see that? It is so yummy. The magical flaky express phyllo dough, or flaky pastry dough. Just want to show you like the layering. Look, seriously, one of the best recipes you can have in your collection is one of these. Look at that. Unbelievably flaky, yummy. Oops, I dropped it, so sorry. Oh, that's the oven beeping for the last ones already. You guys, these taste so good. Look at that, full of meat. And the cumin is the most aromatic spice that goes into these traditionally, at least in the part of the old Soviet Union where I lived. It was always spiced with cumin. Oh, I'm just admiring this dough. And the meat is so tender and delicious because of the secret proportion I learned back when I was still, you know, a youth, and my grandma used to bake these, and I always heard adults talking about, for the most delicious and tender on the inside and juicy samosas, the secret is use as much chopped onion as there is meat in it. So if you have a pound of meat, you absolutely should do a pound of onion. It just adds that juiciness to it. Look at that. Again, just that flaky, incredibly good dough and delicious meat. For the dough, into your large bowl, measure out 4 cups of flour, and I sift each cup. Alright, 4 cups of flour measured out and sifted, and we need to add 1 teaspoon of salt and give it a whirl so that the salt gets distributed in the flour evenly. And from here on, we need to work kind of fast because we need to add 2.5 sticks of frozen butter or margarine cubed up. Today I'm using margarine, so 2.5 sticks of butter or margarine total, and using a pastry knife, cut the butter, frozen butter, into flour, and do so very fast, and don't over mix. Stop when the butter has worked into flour and formed kind of like pea size pieces, beady pieces. So kind of go around and scoop from the sides and keep mashing and pushing, and you will start seeing that little pea size pieces of butter start forming when it binds with the flour. And we're gonna try to work fast. The goal is to do this before butter starts melting. If you don't have a pastry knife, then a large fork will do. And for the liquid part, measure out half a cup of iced water. And into this half a cup of super cold water, add one very large egg from the fridge and egg white from a second egg, and save the egg yolk in a separate little container for later. We're going to use it to brush the tops of our samosas. So 1 egg plus 1 egg white into the water and stir, mix really well. Add 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons white vinegar. Stir everything until it's a smooth consistency. And now we're going to add all of the water into our flour and butter. Let's add the liquid ingredients, all of them at once. And now, without hesitation, using a large fork, I'm going to make everything in a bowl come into a dough ball. I'll be working very fast. There's no over mixing here. There's no hesitation. Just quick, 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 quick. Moisten all of the flour and butter fast. Scoop from the bottom. Here we go. Kind of like when we make biscuits. This is very, very similar. And that vinegar is the secret to flakiness. The less we mess with the dough, the more wonderful and flaky this dough will be. And I'm going to put the fork away and collect all of this into a bowl by hand real quick. This is no kneading, this is just mushing everything so it sticks. It's a very, very rough dough, and that's how we want it. That's what's going to give our samosas that flakiness, because if we make a smooth bowl, we won't be able to achieve the flakiness from a smooth bowl. And if you see that your dough has a hard time coming into a bowl, add another tablespoon of icy water, but no more than that. An extra tablespoon should do. Just takes, about half a minute of mushing. That's what I'm doing. I'm just lifting it up and mushing, and right here, see, lifting it up and mushing it down, making all of the pieces come gather up into this bowl. And it's almost done. See, just a little bit left, and I have not added any additional water because my eggs are indeed very large. I am not needing any extra liquid, and as you can see there, my hand is mostly clean. I press it against the dough ball, it all comes off. So this is the stage where I'm calling it done. I will no longer manipulate it, mush it, knead it. This is all. As soon as the bottom of the bowl is clean and you were able to gather everything into a bowl, this is done. I'm going to cover it and freeze it for about 30 minutes or refrigerate for about 2 hours. And to make our filling for samosas, I have the perfect ratio worked out. We will need quarter pound of smoked pork jowls and a pound each of onions chopped up and hamburger meat. Onions need to be chopped super, super, super fine. I'm going to push mine through a food processor. Pork needs to be diced really, really small into small little squares, as small as you can. And then we're going to combine these three ingredients and season them. And here's my mixture of um, onions that I pushed through the food processor and my hamburger meat, and I'm going to season it with 1.5 teaspoons of salt and a teaspoon of black pepper and a couple of small shakings of red pepper, and absolutely necessary, a teaspoon and a half of cumin. And I'm going to stir all the seasonings in and let it marinate whilst I am chopping up or cubing the smoked pork. If due to dietary restrictions or for religious reasons you cannot have pork, I highly recommend substituting for beef, or even better, absolutely authentic sheep fat or tallow for the fat and flavor. And here it is, the fat chopped up, and I'm going to add it to the hamburger mixture and mix it all together, and the filling will be done. And to form our samosas, take your dough and with your hand shape it into a log about like this, from a piece of dough, not all of the dough at once, and then cut it into about 2 finger width. Two finger. And again, at this step, we need to work with the dough very, very quickly. So we're taking one of these pieces and flattening it down. You can, if you want to, use a rolling pin. I'm not. I'm just going to use my hand and flatten it. If you need to, you can use a little bit of flour if it's sticking. Just lightly flour the surface that you're working on. So whilst the butter is still cold in it, we want to roll all of these into circles and shape them into samosas. All right, I rolled out one to show you, and then take your filling, about, a tablespoon, and put it in the center. I like them filled up nicely with meat. And then make a triangle. Trying to lift it up without my dough tearing. So I will make these two ends meet and pinch, and then this end over the top like that, and pinch it here to make it close, and lay it on your baking sheet. Your oven needs to be preheating to 375 right now. And once on the baking sheet, we will brush it with the egg yolk that we saved up, mixed with maybe a teaspoon of milk, and add sesame seeds. This is my first samosa. I'm about to roll out the rest of them and put them on a baking tray. Right, and here's my samosas. I folded them all up right here, well, the first part of the dough. And yes, I am reusing my parchment paper. No judgment, okay? I baked some cookies on it earlier, so in my world, the parchment paper is still perfectly good to be used again for baking these samosas. No need to cut out a new one and waste this. Let's be considerate and save the trees, right? And money in our wallets. So I'm going to brush them with the egg yolk and a little splash of milk right here. All right, I did the egg yolk on all of them. Look how pretty they look. And just a few black sesame seeds in the center. Traditionally, where I'm from, samosas were made that way. And 375-degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes until the meat is cooked through. Please be sure that the meat is cooked because we're starting out with raw meat in this recipe. And a little tip here, guys, when you roll them out, actually switch to rolling pan for, faster rolling. A very important tip here is don't roll them out too thin because that marbling that you see with the butter, cold butter being mixed with the flour, that's what you want to maintain in it as you start filling them up with your meat and folding them, because that marbling effect is what's going to give your final samosas their delicious crispy flakiness. If you roll them out too thin, you won't have the layer of butter kind of stuck in between the layers of flour, and you lose that flakiness. So it's important not to roll them out too thin, okay? Keep an eye on this marbling effect. You want to make sure it stays there. This concludes this recipe for today, friends. I'm going to enjoy my tea and eat a couple of these. And real quick, again, traditionally, where I'm from, where I was born and grew up, people would make a little hole in the center of the samosa and then pour apple cider vinegar or even white vinegar, just a few drops into the center. That is how they're traditionally eaten in the republics of the old Soviet Union. And I've taught my American kids to eat it like that, and they absolutely love it. So give it a try. You might like it too. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me, for watching. I'm wishing you best of luck in the kitchen and your baking adventures. Please, I beg you, give it a go. Promise me that you're gonna bake these samosas and treat yourselves now that you have this magic dough recipe in your collection. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.